Hello, and welcome to the Sovereign Collective podcast, where we bring you real, raw truth for your self-empowerment. I'm your host, Sasha Calavoda, and I believe that you can stand on your own 2 feet, but that you don't have to do it alone. I love learning from people who continually strive to raise the bar, to go against mainstream thinking, and who dare to question the general consensus. People who risk being ridiculed or even risk the loss of their professional status as they bravely question the common narratives and challenge the rest of us to expand our minds and to reconsider what we think we already know. Join me in learning how to take control of your health and your mind so that you can have the energy to think more clearly and the confidence to step up and take responsibility for all aspects of your life. We promise to never censor here because I believe you are strong enough to hear the real, raw truth to make up your own mind. If you like what you find here at the Sovereign Collective podcast, then please share with your friends and family. I so appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. And now, on to the show. Hi, y'all. This is Sasha here for 2 quick announcements before we get on to our interview for today. First of all, if you are looking for quality supplements, quality tonic herbs, some specialty food items, and you're in and around Calgary, then please go check out Lotus Herbal Health, a great family-run store that has 2 locations in Calgary. You can find them at lotusherbalhealth.ca to find out where their locations are, or you can shop online and they will pretty much deliver anywhere. So quality supplements, tonic herbs, great staff. Check out lotusherbalhealth.ca. Secondly, I want to announce the relaunch of my program called Your Conscious Pregnancy and Parenting Guide, which consists of experts in their fields around the world on consciousness and parenting and education and nutrition and dentistry and homeopathy and more. This is a program I created after my son was born about 10 years ago, a little bit more than that. And I am now very concerned after the events of 2020 for our future generations. And I believe the time is now for conscious parenting and for conscious parents to rise up and to take back our pregnancies and our births and our parenting and the resilience of our children and of future generations. The time is now. We change the course of history by changing the course of our future generations. And we do that by consciously raising them, consciously birthing them, consciously conceiving them, feeding them good food, and taking back the responsibility of raising healthy, well-adjusted, robust people. Resilience. It's time to build resilience. So please go check out sovereigncollective.org/get the guide, and you'll be able to check out all of the amazing material in there. It's time for us to understand how our worldviews are formed, how our self-views are formed, and how to impact that and how that impacts the society on a whole. So check it out, sovereigncollective.org/get the guide. And now on to the show. Hey guys, Sasha here for a new episode of Sovereign Collective podcast. And I am joined once again with Mette Mitchell of homeopathy.com.
Very good.
Homeopathy.com. Homeopath. We're going to talk about homeopathy again. A very elegant and effective and safe and inexpensive way to treat yourself and your family in all sorts of conditions. I've had a miraculous healing in my family that I'll talk about in a little bit. But if you don't know the whole thing, Mette, we will go into like just the basics of homeopathy again, just to refresh people. But episode 24 is my first episode with Mette on homeopathy, and we go into more details about the history of homeopathy and what homeopathy is, but we will get into that. And you find more information about Mette's background and her story in that one. It's a really great podcast. So go to that one. And from this one, we're not going to go into all intro of Mette, but we're going to talk about other stuff today. So I am stoked to get into it again. Thanks, Mette, for joining me. Always fun to talk to you.
Yeah, so nice to be here again. So good to see you and to hear your voice.
Thanks. And you too. And she's on to exciting things too. So we're going to talk about some other things that are going on in Mette's life too and share, because a few of us are concerned about living in the cities these days and are looking for more sustainable ways and self-sufficient ways of living. And so Mette's taken a big step towards that too. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. Mm-hmm. But first of all, Mette, before we get into the kit you've made, before we get into what my husband did and stuff, let's just talk quick little basic on what homeopathy is so that we can let people know what that is.
So homeopathy is a way of tapping into the body's own immunity so it can heal itself. So when that immunity or that power that we tap into with homeopathy in in homeopathic language, we call that the vital force. So it's the same force that reacts on an allergy, for instance. So you know how quickly your body can react.
Right.
If you are allergic to peanuts and you get exposed to even the smallest fleck of peanut dust, and then your body can go into complete shutdown. Your body is not doing that because it's overloaded with toxic material. Your body is just basically doing that. It's the body itself that is doing it. You understand? It's not the toxicity that is doing it. It's the body that is doing it. And in this case, of course, it is dysfunctional. But when we use the same force in homeopathy, then you can see what a strong partner that we have. We tap right into the body's own chemistry, pharmacy. So we get all the stuff that we need in the very specific dose that we needed. And I promise you, it's never 5 milligrams 3 times a day. But we're doing it when we're doing it with homeopathy, because we are out of the toxic zone. There's nothing toxic in homeopathy at all. Then we just tap into the energy and bring an invitation to the body to do it. And because we work with the vitality, that's why sometimes we can almost have this miraculous experience with homeopathy where we go, what? Yeah. But it happened right away. It's like, because it's the body that is doing it. It's not something that needs to be absorbed, digested, distributed through the blood to the correct site by accident. Let's face it, you know, when the body does it, yeah, it's targeted and it's well dosed, and it's, you know, and that's basically what homeopathy is. We're just asking the body to do what it wants to do.
And so for people that are saying, okay, you're asking, you just ask it, you just tell the body, what by means are you actually making this happen?
So we use homeopathic medicine, and homeopathic medicine that is very dilute doses of everything on the surface of this planet. We have like, oh my God, it's dangerous. We're in dangerous topic now. I could talk for a long time, but I think at the last count, we had something like 8,000 different homeopathic remedies.
Wow.
Yeah. But all of these 8,000, they are stuff that we have picked from nature or from pollution or from, you know, different, anything that you can take something from, we can make a homeopathic remedy from. But all of these remedies, they are very, very, very diluted. So way past that there's any molecules present even. It's only the energy that is left. So then we use the energy. But so what is the energy of an onion? So the energy of an onion, we know what the energy of an onion is like. We just need to chop one. And then we know what happens when I am in contact with onion. Well, your eyes start to run, your nose may get itchy. Something will happen in your, you know the different types of symptoms you can't see, and with the itching and all of that. So we know that that's something that onion can do. So what we then want to do with that knowledge is to find a disease that looks a little bit like when we are chopping an onion. And that could, for instance, be hay fever. Mm-hmm. So we use the remedy onion, which is called Allium cepa, because we use the Latin words in homeopathy. So we can use diluted onion to treat the same symptoms that crude dosed onion could produce.
Right. And so there's different dosing. When would you choose a different? So for people that don't know, there is like, this is like a drop of mother tincture, right? That goes into another bottle with how many, like 99 drops?
99, yeah.
And then you shake it up. So you could do that many times. So like really, there's actually, it's very frequency. So how do people know which dose to choose? If they know that they got the remedy nailed in, but which dose?
Yeah. So the remedy is always the most important thing. So if you have the remedy and you only have it in one potency, you just give it in that potency. So that's like, because if it is the right remedy, regardless of what potency it is, it's going to do something. In particular, when you are in like an acute situation. But when the symptoms are in the room, when they are present, the symptoms are happening, like a birth, for instance. So it's what I always say with birth, you know, you never have to ask, are you feeling more sad or are you feeling more angry? Because you will probably be able to see on the birthing mother what's going on. That's everything, that's her symptoms being present. We're not talking about what happened at the birth and go through it. Everything is there, right? In the room now. And if it's you had an accident, it's in the room now. So then the best potency is the 200 potency.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's because it's like when the symptoms are there, what are the symptoms? Well, the symptoms are actually a sign of your vitality. Because it's your vitality that is producing what we call symptoms, because it's part of the healing process.
Right.
So the vitality is already in action. You know, and it's the same thing with growing children that grow. You can pretty often give them a 200 because they are growing. It means that their immune system is constantly working.
Right. Okay.
So that's the 200 potency. And then if you want to go like to a 1M, which is a 10, which is 1,000 C basically.
Yeah.
What we call a 1M, that would be, you know, if the symptoms are very emotional. So maybe it could be menstrual problems, menstrual pain, but the menstrual pain is also followed with a big upheaval in the emotions and a lot of crying and, you know, almost like wanting to give up and everything is too much and maybe a little bit dramatic, but real enough, you know, but then it could be a pulsatilla. We use pulsatilla so much for hormonal problems, you know, but when the big and when the emotions are very big, then if you want to reach the emotions, then it's a good strategy to go up higher in potency. And it's also the same thing. If something happened a long time ago, you will also want to go for a higher potency.
So, for example, I know a woman who has had a lot of lung issues. So, from the Chinese medicine perspective, the grief is held in the lungs. And she lost her daughter many years ago, very young. It's been a very long time. And she feels she's done the grief work, but I can see that as soon as she starts talking about it, it's still very present. But so could she heal the grief or help heal that grief through homeopathy that happened? Yes.
Oh. And I encourage everybody to take care of their trauma with homeopathy, because everything that when we do the very good trauma work, okay, when what we mainly do is that this trauma work takes place in our heads.
Mm-hmm.
We do it with our forgiveness, with our understanding, with our guilt and shame, and, you know, all of those things that are kind of like products of our minds. So what the problem with, so of course we need to deal with it in that level, but we need to get the information into the cells in the body, because otherwise maybe there is a chance that we are just, you know, it's just going to become a weak spot. So then when we become stressed or when we have experienced another trauma, then that trauma comes back because it's not strong, because it's not all the way into the body. And that's what we do with homeopathy. We get it into the cells. It's like into the cells, in the memory of the cells, to heal the trauma on like that deep level. Sometimes when we say deep, then we misunderstand it as to say we have to heal it in our minds, but we need to heal it in our bodies. That's deep.
It needs to be right in our cellular, because this is a reflection of what's going on in the other realms, right? So yeah, this body isn't, it serves a purpose. It's informational. It's right. Yeah.
And then it gets expressed on the lungs.
Right.
You know, so so where when I first understood that I was going to study homeopathy, I was watching Eat, Pray, Love.
Yeah.
And for the third time or something, it was like a Friday night. I was just like, okay, I'll watch this. It was on or whatever. And then I was watching it, and then there's a scene where she falls on the bicycle, and then she gets taken to the herbal doctor. She has like a wound on the leg, and then the herbal doctor looks after that wound, and then she kind of like pushes her a little bit around the knees, and then she says, but I can also see that you haven't had sex for a long time. So what's going on about that? And then I understood one thing, and that was the one thing that got me to study homeopathy. And it is that the physical symptom is the invitation.
Ah, right.
It's the door. It's the door. And yeah, well, it's what you find, what you can find in that physical symptom. It's just so insightful. And, you know, even just speculating a little bit to say, you know, one of my favorite questions in consultation is, okay, how is your mom around the same problem? And then how is your grandmother, or how was your grandmother around the same problem?
Right.
And just by asking that, sometimes it becomes so obvious. It's like, oh my God, it's not even me.
Right. And that's, I think most of it is that, right?
Yes.
Unless you suffered something in this time now, because we keep passing on that generational freaking trauma.
We have to stop. We have to stop doing it.
Yes.
We have to stop.
Yes. We do this such big thing that I talk about in my program and just with people. And before you have your babies, ideally you stop that cycle now.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Because
but
our problems are not our conscious problems. They're the subconscious that have been brought through. So
we just come with the behavior.
Yes.
And then we have to deal with that behavior. And if we deal with that behavior, then we stop the trauma.
Totally.
Yeah.
Love it. Oh my God. So okay. So does it work for everyone? Some people say, oh, it doesn't work. I tried it, it didn't work. It's like, well, does that mean they just didn't use the right remedy?
Yeah.
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 So it should be just everyone works. So could there also be, because sometimes it takes one pellet and you're done, and sometimes it's a regime.
Yes. So, yes. So that's just because there are different approaches. So that there's different approaches in homeopathy, but the most famous approach is classical homeopathy. And classical homeopathy is kind of like claiming to be the real homeopathy.
Right.
And that's also true to an extent. But, but the problem with the classical homeopathy is that, when did he die? In the 1920s, I think Kent, the founder of the classical homeopathy. So they didn't have all this pollution. They didn't have all this over-vaccination. They didn't have all this stress in the same way. They didn't have, there's like so many things they didn't have 100 years ago that we have today. So there is different models that has arrived later, and there's also the protocols, which would maybe be more like a regime. So like the protocols which which is a way of making homeopathy easier. So most of the protocols that I work with, they have all proven their value through data.
Okay.
So there are certain places where they collect data for certain diseases, and then they write books about it and explain their protocols and so on. So, and then you can look up and you can say, okay, so the first protocol works for 42% of everybody. Okay, so that's, and then if that one doesn't work, then you maybe go to the second protocol that then works for a percentage of the people that the percentage. So then that's a way of prescribing as well. So there's just different models to work through. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to get into your kits. So I know you want to talk about kits, but I just want to relay a story from that we just experienced. So it made me think of you, and I thought, I need to get her back on the show. So my husband, love him, he was starting to get a little, like when we first started dating, he's snoring and be laying there awake and drive me crazy. And then over time, I just got used to him being there. And he didn't snore. He wasn't really snoring. But lately, he was starting to get a lot more nasally. And he started to have a harder time. And I think taking some things out of his diet, that helped to clear those passageways. But one thing that was new that he didn't have before was it was back in here. It was like really throaty, like just like literally I'd be lying there reading and be asleep, and he'd be stopping breathing. You could just tell it was a battle for him to get any air out. And there are noises you just can't make when you're awake, right? You just know, because you don't relax like that, and it was just getting really, as far as just elbowing him and just, stop it. Then he'd shift, and then he'd stop, and then he'd start again, and then I'd finally fall asleep and it's fine. But it was starting to bother him, and he could feel it because it was waking him up. And it was just going on in just the few weeks. But he got up in the middle of the night one night, and he's like, I don't like this. This is not good. I feel like I can tell that I'm fighting. And so we looked up the symptoms, and he could feel, and he was actually paying attention to it because he was kind of half asleep, half awake. And he was noticing how he felt swollen out, things were collapsing. It was like, he looked up the symptoms, and it sounded like it was glottitis, epiglottitis, like, something back there was swelling. So he looked that up, and he looked up homeopathy.
Yeah.
And the remedy that came up was Apis mellifica. And so like a bee sting, I guess, or you take that if you swell up. So he took, I think, 2 pellets.
Yeah.
And literally, without even, like you said, it doesn't have to go around to the body and go to the right places, blah, blah, blah. Literally, with almost immediately, it's like somebody let the air out of the tires and everything deflated, and it completely went away. And he slept. And the next day he did it one more time just because, but he didn't need to. I don't actually think he need to. And this was weeks ago now. And he's done. It hasn't come back. He's breathing. He's sleeping. He's not swelling. And it's like, this is like relationship saving stuff, right? Like this is amazing. That is seriously amazing. So I've said this to a couple of people, like, no way. They just can't believe it. I'm like, yes, this is the power of homeopathy. So I feel like people, it's such a simple thing, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So what? Try another one. It's cheap, it's safe, you're not getting any side effects that you're not looking for.
It's super environmental.
It's like everything. It's just amazing. So so that makes me think of, and you were talking about the peanut allergy, and then so I have a friend who's in a homeopathic course with somebody in the States, and there were some moms that said they actually used that same remedy, the Apis, when they were going to the hospital with anaphylaxis, and they didn't have to go. They stopped and turned around and went home because it completely stopped in its tracks. I mean, here we've got EpiPens, and they're raping people in the price of EpiPens. And we've got this fear, and we've got all this stuff. This is obviously suppressed information so that people are using the system and not depending.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Like, so do you believe that? Is that something that you would have in your arsenal in case of anaphylactic allergies to anything?
100%. It's in all kits. It's in every single homeopathic kit.
Right.
And another great one is Belladonna. That is also in every homeopathic kit. So Belladonna is good for fever, and in particular childhood fever. And there's one family where their child suffered from so many seizures, but we managed to deal with the seizures by dealing with the fever with Belladonna.
Right. Right. It's like, how much space does that give you when you know you have that figured out and you've got the remedy and you've got the situation? Like, that's got to be so stressful to be waiting for the next one, right? Like, it's crazy.
And for the children too. For the children, it's just
right.
It's like
right.
They don't want to be like that.
No. And let me just.
But one very interesting thing about the apis, I think, in the moment is because I'm just gonna in my kit
Let's talk about your kit.
Yes. No, so I made this 50 remedy kit, but the one remedy that I added in here that is so fast becoming one of my favorite remedies, it's homeopathic histamine.
Okay, I have that histamine or whatever it is.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So that's just because, and then because we spoke about like cures like, right?
Yes.
With the onion and the hay fever. So when we use histamine homeopathically, then it becomes antihistamine. That's what we have to remember, right? So because I'm taking a remedy that's made from the problem, which is the overload of histamine, right? So what is so it's very, very similar to apis in that sense, because it deals with the allergic reaction. But I also I have added it because I prescribe this remedy for everything, for inflammation, for, you know, it's like I prescribe it to everybody. And it is, when we have to think about it, what is our society like now? We are all walking around like we're having an allergic reaction, because we are having an allergic reaction to each other. We are having an allergic reaction to the news. We're having an allergic reaction. It's like everything is so explosive and
yes,
fast
and inflamed.
Yeah,
right? It's hot and inflamed. And
mm-hmm.
So, say in an emergency situation, and if you didn't know which was the right remedy, could you give one apis, one histamine at the same time?
Yes, in
Right?
particular, and
yeah. Because if it's like, say you're out and about and somebody ate something and all of a sudden they just like you don't want to try one and see if it works, because you don't have time to see if it's going to work.
You just throw it in. You just throw it in.
You do. Okay.
Yeah, and that's what we have to remember, you know, and that's a good thing to remember always with homeopathy. We always, and that's, it doesn't matter if we're prescribing at home or if it's the homeopath prescribing in the practice room, we're always prescribing to whatever is the most present.
Right.
So we don't care about your problems with your mom if you're unconscious because you've been hit by a car. It's not very much there, you know. So it's a good way to think about it. So if we're treating physical symptom, then we're treating the physical symptom. And it's like, just, if it's emotional, then we're treating the emotion. If that's what's present, you know, then we're treating that.
But in these kits, so I have the blue kit.
Yes.
Don't need to get the emergency kit, but those are the 30 CHs, right? So those ones are also, those are going to be way more physical.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right.
So, and that would just translate to repeat it more often.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long would you wait? Half an hour, like in acute situations?
So when something is acute, then my rule of thumb is to say that you take one remedy every 20 minutes for the first hour.
Okay.
And then you reassess and you see, okay, is the symptoms withdrawing, or are they the same, or are they increasing, or what's going on, or have they changed? So I need to change the remedy. But the correct homeopathic prescription is that you take the remedy, and then when the remedy stops working, then you repeat it. So how long that is. So for instance, one time I burned myself really badly on my hand, you know, like one of those situations where you're carrying your laptop and a cat and a hot cup of tea, you know, like, and all of a sudden you're just feeling that it's kind of like running down your arm, but you can't let go because, you know, it's like, one of those ones. And I burned myself. So I would say it was a 2nd degree burn. And And I took cantharis from the kit, which is the remedy made from Spanish fly. And because that works for really, really, really intense burning. But for 2 days, I had to take it a couple of times every hour.
Couple of times an hour.
Yeah. But every time I took it, the pain went away completely. But it was just as if it didn't hold for that long.
Right.
So I just kept repeating. And that's fine. You can take as much you want of any remedy over a period of 5 days. No problem. Yeah.
And then after 5 days, what?
Then, if it's not working, you have to reconsider, is it the right remedy? Is it acute anymore? Am I treating something chronic? And if it's not, then it should be fixed by 5 days. And if it isn't, then reach out to the homeopath.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And so that cantharis, did that just help with the pain, or did that help also heal the burn?
We mostly prescribe for the pain. So I also took like calendula for the skin.
Homeopathic calendula?
Homeopathic and herbal as well. And actually, it's in the kit here, calendula, because I have played around a little bit with the potencies here to get a little bit where it's like, okay, actually this remedy is better than this potency. So like aconite that we use for shock or cold shock, and for violent and sudden symptoms. Well, it kind of like violent and sudden. Well, so it means we're always prescribing aconite when the symptoms are present in the room, right?
Right.
So I just said, okay, so for that reason, I have taken aconite 200 in my own kit here, and calendula in a 12x, which is a 12D, or like another a much more physical potency.
Yeah.
Because calendula, I looked it up in a book the other day. I was like, I wonder what the mental emotional picture is of calendula, but I don't think there really is one. It's one of those remedies that it's great for the skin, and it really is great for the skin, but
yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah. So say you have all of a sudden a sudden violent nosebleed. Would you prescribe aconite?
Yeah, aconite and maybe phosphorus.
Okay.
So phosphorus is also in the blue kit, and it's also in this kit. So phosphorus, we use that a lot for nosebleeds, where the blood is very bright and red and fresh looking and gushing. So there's a lot of it. And it's very often in lanky, skinny, tall persons that are very social and active and have a lot of crazy ideas.
Sounds like my son.
Call them social butterflies, and they swing a lot. So they will go from fainting from hunger and then have a bite of a banana and being completely back again, or they will go and they will have a nap of 20 minutes and they will wake up completely refreshed.
Right.
But they also get frightened by sudden noises or movements. And
interesting. So interesting. There's so much to know. Oh my God. Okay, let's talk about this kit. So why did you make your own kit? What's this one all about?
But yeah, what is it about? Well, it is, I think, my own graduation present. I think I graduated now finally after all these years from the blue kit. I'm like, okay, I know it now, ins and outs, everything about it. And then I got sparked by a conversation with a colleague in Denmark, and we were talking about what if we made our own kit, and she was kind of looking into it a little bit, and I was like, okay, I will make you a list and then let's talk about it. But she's on her 4th year of studying homeopathy, so I didn't wait for her, but it came from her and me making this plan for this kit and kind of like going through what would be like the ideal kit to have actually, and what potencies also.
So it's different potencies with different remedies?
Yes, it is. It is mostly 30, but then also to add some of the combination remedies. So like, for instance, I have this remedy, and it looks like I already gave it away to somebody. So KHP, which is a Kali Big Hydrastis and Pulsatilla, which is a perfect drainage remedy. So drain the sinuses or drain the ears, or so drainage anywhere where all the, what do you call it, where everything is really small, right? So when we want to drain mucus in very, very small areas, like in the sinuses and so on, it's fantastic for that. And gluea. So if kids have gluea, it's a complete no-brainer that you can treat this. I would say, I don't know, it sounds so cocky, but I would say at least 80% of the people that have come with gluea to my practice, they have had it cleared out with KHP and carb on Saturdays for a couple of weeks.
Wow. On Saturdays, did you say?
Yeah, so just once a week. Just so carb once a week.
Like once, who would even think of taking something once a week? That's so crazy. Like once a week, a little bit of energy right here. Like it's just, I just love it. It blows my mind every time.
Yeah.
Okay, so why would you only do it once a week? Why wouldn't you do it every day throughout the day? Why just once a week?
So when we do, okay, so in consultation, I would give a carb 200 C on Saturdays. So it's a 30 here. So the 200 where we say the very present or the very whatever, but also it's also simply the 200 is also just like a potency that holds a little bit longer. So if it is a good match, you can go up in potencies, and then you only need to take the remedies so often. And the KHP, so that's a low potency. It's a 6C. So that's why it has to be taken more often. But we are taking the KHP very specifically to liquidize the mucus. So we are not taking it because you're feeling in a specific way, or because something happened to you, or because we're just giving it to the very physical, to the mucus. Attract more water so you get more liquid, so you can drain, please, and go away.
Right.
Yeah.
So what were the factors that went into your choices of putting what there into the kit? Did you feel some were incomplete? Were you missing a few? Like why those remedies? What are they for emergency or day-to-day immunity? Or everything? What is it for?
So it is, so some of the remedies simply because I think I prescribe them so often, it sounds so stupid. It's like, really, I don't think Coca-Cola would say something like that. We will give you the recipe because so many people seem to like it, but but that's the way it is to be a homeopath. You have to remember, as a homeopath, you can only sell your hour once a day, once an hour, so you're not interested in having 100 people signing up. It's really, really good to get this knowledge out, because when I say KHP in this kit, then I also know, okay, I'm being a little bit manipulative and sneaky, because I know that anybody needing KHP that takes KHP, they will have an experience like your husband when he took Apis. So it's a very easy prescription, and you have very good results. So
hey, I have a question. So talk about draining. He's got a bump on his bald head. It says a pilar cyst, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Fluid thing. So he's been trying all these different things, and now he's kind of let the skin heal, because he's been putting vinegar and DMSO and tea tree oil and frankincense, and it was oozing. We finally thought we'd get it, and then he started using silica.
Yeah, very good.
Silica to try to move it out.
Yes.
HPBL. But then he got sick of it because he had this big thing on it, and it looks really, but it was really big. Now it's smaller, but it's not healed.
Right.
So I'm thinking there's got to be a homeopathic remedy for that, because normally they cut them out and they take. I'm like, the body can deal with it. I know it can.
But maybe the body is draining it already, and that's what caused the snoring. I don't know.
But it's not changing. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. But there's lots of juicy things to talk about with the APIS.
Okay.
So I don't know if your husband, he would I mean, it's only thoughts, the homeopathic thoughts, but I don't want to step into territory there where
he's pretty good with whatever, unless it's
it's kind of funny, but APIS is the conflict that is in APIS is about who's the matriarch in the family.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. We don't really have conflicting relationship. We both know our roles. It's pretty clear with us.
Okay, that's good.
But
that's the one that can come up, with APIS. And of course it is, but what is it? It's the poison from the honeybee. And we all know that all the worker bees, they only have one queen.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
But
do you think he should keep taking it?
Definitely have it for these acute things. But it's like probably not gonna bring, it's like it could be something to do with net mure, maybe, that also has a lot of liquid in there, and it could, that it's like once you get behind just the doorway, the acute symptom, it's like you have to have a little bit more of a conversation what is going on. But there is the homeopathic remedy clay, which is very good to, it's good for any conditions where the body holds liquid in the body.
I hold liquid in my lymphatic system. That's interesting. Clay, I haven't heard of that one. Okay.
No, it's a new materia medica. So I'm also talking about that on my website and stuff, where I give these different talks about new materia medica. And there's one remedy in here in the new kit from new materia medica, and it's lotus.
Oh.
So it's actually not too dissimilar. It's quite similar in many ways also with clay, because with the lotus, that remedy is made from the whole plant, so from the flower and the stem and the root. And so of course the root goes all the way down into the clay and the mud.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, but the lotus as a homeopathic remedy, it's like rescue drops, but homeopathically. So you would use it for the same things. But then the remedy clay it's also a very grounding remedy, but what it has, clay is the type of soil that holds the most liquid.
Right. Okay.
So it's like a drainage remedy like that as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So what else do you want us to know about your kit here? How do people get to find out about your kit and get access to it?
They just go and download my app, because the app got updated yesterday with all the remedies from my new kit, and there's lots of there's information in there as well to how to get hands on it, because I'm the only one that sells it, and it's like a little bit of a secret hideaway shop, but it's online, and all the information is in there.
So they could just, if they go to homeopathy.com, will they find it there? Do they have to be a part of your members?
No, you'll have to be part of one of the members clubs to have access to the store, but you also get access to the store through the app.
Okay.
So I can't, it's just because homeopathy is so controversial, and it's like I only like to do anything with homeopathy behind closed doors, so to say. So that's also why there's the store I made on Squarespace. So it's a members club, so it doesn't cost anything to be a member. But I just want to know everybody that has seen it. Yes. There's
people looking on video. Oh.
Yeah. So if you click on Materia Medica, then you can see the update.
Okay, so guys, I have it on my phone for those of you who are seeing the video, and a great way. So if you want to get the kit, like seriously, it is something. Again, I can't stress this enough. We need to be our own doctors in most situations, and in most situations we can handle. This is why I'm doing a class next week here live and in person in Calgary on building your home apothecary, of which a major part is getting your homeopathy in order, getting your immune things together, your kits together, things like that. Like, we don't need to depend on an outside authority if we would just take the time to know what it is that we need to have and be armed with it ready, so that you're not subject to the time or somebody else's expertise or their stock or anything.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, this is like such a sleek little box. It fits in with everything. You can take it with you everywhere, and you have 50 homeopathic remedies in here. And you know, the great one thing is, even if you don't know how to use all of these remedies yourself, then if you called me and said, Mette, this is happening, and then I can say, okay, do you have a kid? And then you say, yes. Then I say, okay, take this one.
Right. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Amazing. And so those are the kits, but those ones don't have the twist ones, right? Is it okay to put, you have to put it in your palm, I guess, and then pop it in your mouth? Those,
Yeah, or just pop it in the lid. So just,
oh, those ones.
oh, they're exactly the same ones. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, they
exactly
are.
the
Okay.
same ones. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So guys, like seriously, I was disc golfing last year at a tournament, and a guy, he wouldn't use it. It's so funny. I'm like, he got stung by a wasp and he almost like was falling over. I'm like, I'll be right back. I've got this. And I ran and I went and got it, and I came back with the apis. And what is that? And I thought he would trust me because we had built a relationship and all this other stuff. And his son's like, he's not going to take it. I'm like, it's seriously a sugar pill. Like, it's a sugar pill. And he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. But I know he would, like, he would end up being fine in the end. But it's funny, people, they're their own worst blocks, right? But I've taken it around all the time. Like Tim, I mean, we had the apis, we had that in the moment. So it's such a great thing to have.
Oh yeah. I take this kit with me everywhere. So most places I go, I know they have a kit because because I've advertised it or even given it as a birthday present, you know, just because I want people to have it.
What a birthday present. That's amazing.
Oh, it's the best present. It's the best present. But this kit here, I take it with me everywhere. And I just love trying it out, like with the remedy histamine, you know, that is so similar to apis, but it's just such a great remedy to have. Look, like I even have like a small dose here for gallstones attacks.
Ooh.
So that's something a lot of people are suffering from, you know. So there's not enough here, but maybe you'll be desperate enough so you will get over yourself and say, okay, I'll take the homeopathy. And then you can get started. And when you have a gallstone attack, you know, you can just keep taking this as if you do with any other acute situation. And if you have had a gallstone attack before, you know what to compare it to.
Which remedy is that one?
So that's a combination remedy.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not even too familiar with it. It's just because I have this, I've used it so much, and I have this from a very trusted teacher. So it is chelidonium, which is so good for the liver, and colocynthis, which is also great for the liver and the colon, and then cholesterol. So homeopathic cholesterol.
Oh, very good. And that's a big one. Like, I know the #1 abdominal surgery, like they say, like voluntary abdominal surgery, is removal of the gallbladder. This is a seriously important organ. You don't just take it out just because it's not working the way you want it to in the moment.
Yeah.
But I know is I've never had a gallstone attack, but that's seriously painful.
And you know, they're not
like,
even trying to save the gallbladders anymore.
No.
They used to try and save them. Now they're just like,
right.
It's clearly broken. Yeah.
You don't need it anyways. Seriously, that's a really great remedy to have.
Yeah.
And so like when you're on hand, so when you, like a lot of people don't want to go to the hospital these days.
Yeah.
So what would you rather have? The confidence knowing that you have this in case you need it, or, you know, you don't know what to do in the moment and you just hope nothing happens, something's going to happen. It always does. Something's gonna happen. So,
and that's the thing, because I'm watching all of these off-grid videos in the moment, because I'm moving into my tiny house, which I think I mentioned to you. But
well, we talked a little before, but before we start recording, but we will talk about that too. Yes, Mette is moving into a tiny home. She's making a plunge.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I'm watching all of these videos, and then sometimes there is a video also about health and when you're off grid and what would you do if the accident happened. And basically it's like this little emergency pack down from the pharmacy that may has a little bit of added antibiotics or something in there. But it's like, when you know what arnica can do for bruising, you think it's irresponsible of you to be off grid without arnica, at least, right? Or what if you get into a situation where you get a food poisoning? What is your plan? What are you going to do? Yeah. You'd end up dehydrated and you will die of that within, I don't know how long time it takes, but it's very quickly.
Right.
And you can just take China, or, you know, like there's different remedies. So China as a homeopathic remedy. So we use it for food poisoning, but we also use it for rehydration. So if you have been dehydrated, so to get your come back after you have been because dehydration is serious for the body.
Very.
Yeah.
Serious. Yeah.
What else? Well, then of course there's all the inflammation stuff like hepatic sulfur and mercury, and I added a drawing mix. Drawing is just to pull out pus from the body. Just great for that. But then also, like so many people, they ask about worms.
Oh.
Or parasites. So I have a parasite mix here. This is not enough, but again, it's enough for you to get started, and then you just reach out if you you want to continue, and then you can have some more. And I even added a remedy for atomic radiation. Or, you know, when it's atomic radiation, homeopathic atomic radiation, it's just radiation, you know, ailments from radiation. And people take it and they will have like stuff loosening from the throat in particular. Mm-hmm. Maybe we have radiation poisoning, all of us, you know, what do I know? But if you take one of these remedies for radiation and you have a reaction, well, then you probably do. You know,
and so people know, I think people might say, oh, that remedy made me sick, but this is something we need to be very clear on. Symptoms are not bad or good, they're information, and your symptoms is the way of this is how your body gets rid of things. Like when we're sick and we have a cold and we get rid of stuff, or we have things coming through our skin, or we're vomiting, or we have diarrhea. This is our body's methods of detoxification. It's very, very important. So if you're reacting to that, that means it's activating your own body's healing mechanisms, right? Yeah. To get rid of what it's no longer, what never served it really, but it's not serving it. So that's the thing. Sometimes people find they take themselves, oh, it gave me this, it gave me acne. It's like, well, what is the acne though? It's not, is it just because it's not turning you into a zitty teenager? This is a major avenue of detoxification. So let's see what happens. Keep going. This is great.
Yeah.
This is a good thing.
Yeah. It's like the diseased hangover. We don't get the hangover while we are taking the toxin. We're getting the hangover after.
Oh, the disease hangover, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And when we have symptoms, when we take a homeopathic remedy, it's always either current symptoms that are flaring up or old symptoms that are returning. I'm just going to grab some water just a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when we have a side effect, then we get symptoms that we never had before. So if we take some pain medication and we take it for a long time, and then we get an ulcer from it, stomach ulcer. So, okay, so that's a new symptom. When we use homeopathy, then it will always be old symptoms that are coming back or current symptoms that are flaring, getting worse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Distinction. And back to the histamine one.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people with histamine intolerances. They can't eat anything because there's so many histamines prevalent, so many things. So I would think that would be a good remedy to help them with their intolerances with histamines.
Yes, but it's probably a gut problem, the allergies.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
But that maybe be a way to mitigate symptoms as they heal.
Exactly. And then also you can get this amazing experience of taking histamine and notice it's like, it's a histamine 200C, so there's, when we have a 12C, that's when science says there's nothing left anymore. So then they say there's no molecules anymore. So when we get to a 200C, it's like we're way beyond that. And you get to have the experience of taking something that apparently has nothing in it and your symptoms disappear. Then you wake up because now you have an inside experience where you go, I went through this, it happened to me. And for all you know, it's either magic or it was the remedy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So and then if you have that experience, maybe you're also more motivated to go to the homeopath and say, okay, now I know you can do this type of magic. Can we bring me to a state of health so I don't need to take the histamine anymore?
Right. Exactly. And so when they're making the remedies, is it in water that they're doing this, or is it
in water?
It makes a ton of sense. So if I don't know if you've heard of Veda Austin. I've interviewed her for the podcast. I can't remember which episode it is, but it is freaking crazy. So I believe this 100% because water holds information. It has memory and it holds information. She does these experiments where she takes a petri dish of water. There's a little bit of water in there. She will put it on top of a paper with a picture on it for like 30 seconds or a minute, something like that. And then she freezes the petri dish and it will come out and that picture will be in the ice of that water. It could be like, there's so many different pictures she has. She has pictures of like a face and pictures of a guy working on a telephone pole, stairways. Like, it's crazy. Like, the actual picture is there without a doubt, unmistakable. And it's amazing. Like, even I think the energies of being grateful will change the way it looks. Like, water is amazing. So for sure, if that was there, then it's going to hold it. It's what it does. Unfortunately, what I'm wondering is, so what happens though when you have that homeopathic remedy and it's bathed in Wi-Fi and it's by your cell phone and it's with all this other stuff, all this electricity and all this power output? What the last interview was just on that, on the whole making your space energetically safe. So what does that, do we know anything about how that impacts a remedy?
Oh yeah, well, there is some studies that have been made by Stefan Baumgartner. He's a German professor that studies homeopathy, and he found, like, he did some studies, or he presented some studies, I don't know if he did them, that they could see that the remedies were affected by radiation. Or electromagnetic fields and stuff like that. So, we always say that you should keep your remedies away from Wi-Fi and mobile phones and so on. And the way I store kits like this in my clinic, each of them are wrapped individually in tinfoil, because after having gone through all the work of making the kits, I want to make sure that they are completely protected. And like any long-term storage that I have of remedies like that, I just protect extra like that. And then I'm just wondering, because I have made a small investment into some earthing products. So to get earth. So for us, so like earthing sheets, so we can sleep on them, and then that the sheet is earthed in the plug, in the socket, in the earth there. And I'm thinking that I should store my remedies on something that is earth as
That's
well.
interesting, because I asked him about that, and he's actually saying it would be better to actually put that thing into the ground.
Yeah,
To
definitely.
the grounding prong, because there's actual electrical pressure on the ground that comes back. So it's interesting. So okay, but there's got to be a way. But the thing is, most of us, you know, their Wi-Fi is on. At least mine's on during the day. I turn it off at night. But I've got my remedies inside my home. I don't have them in a Faraday bag or anything like that.
But just you know, just don't put your phone on top of your remedies, and just be mindful. You know, I always keep my phone in my pocket, for instance. That's just a habit that I have because I use homeopathy, because I always have my homeopathy in the bag.
Right.
So then I don't want to put my phone in the bag. So I have my phone in my pocket.
Right.
And so just get into like these little good habits. And if you're storing, you know, if the way that you store your remedies at home, you can just take like an IKEA box and wrap it in tinfoil and stick some stars on there if you want to, and then kind of like have a little, what's it called, Faraday cage?
Yeah, like a little Faraday cage or a Faraday bag. I mean, you can get Faraday bags, you can do something like that.
Exactly.
So maybe I'll have to make a special kit to put all my remedies in and just protect it that way. But we did prove that the Apis did just work, and it's been sitting out, so that is good to know. But just long term, it's nice to know that you're protecting it.
And keep it safe from this very specific radiation stuff. And if you're traveling with it, you know, just wrap it if you want to take it. Well, who's traveling these days? But
some people are, but we're not. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Interesting. So what else about was there something else? What else about the kit then? What else do we need to know? So you can access, I haven't actually looked at that on the app. You can access the store.
Yeah, it just says read more about the kit, and then you just go there, and then there's a link in there that takes you to the store.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Okay, we'll do that. I gotta check that out. Okay, how much is the kit? Do you mind saying what it costs?
It's $200. Yeah, no, it's $275.
Okay.
So it's not a frilly little thing. It's like a serious piece of equipment.
Yes.
But and the reason why it's so expensive is because it takes such a long time to make them. So that's what it is. But if you have the app, you know, you have access actually to all the remedies, and in the app there's links also to where you can buy all the remedies just as individual remedies. Right. So there's the Narayani remedies, which is a lot of the combination remedies. That's just a link right there. You can just click on it and you're being taken right to the product. So if you just know that you want this one or you just want this one, then everything is in the app.
Right. Okay. So what are some other reasons to use homeopathy? I don't think people think of homeopathy enough. I think it's very common for children and children's ailments and things like that. But for traumas, for example, I wonder how many people are actually actively using homeopathy with traumas. Like, what other areas can you apply homeopathy to?
Well, to trauma and I have a workshop on my website as well that talks about homeopathy and transgenerational trauma.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and that's the new Materia Medica. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. But where we talk about, you know, the inherited trauma. So I got a very close encounter with this because I'm writing a book about my grandfather. So it's a real eye-opening experience to do ancestry. So I felt some of that stuff very, very close to me. And also I think that when you work with trauma in consultation, then you're like working, you try and claw back, it's like, okay, but did your mother breastfeed you? Okay, was it a natural birth? How was the pregnancy? How was the... But then during COVID, I just think that it has become so obvious because everybody is having this kind of allergic reaction. But I have the feeling that half of people that I'm seeing, there's two problems. One of them is toxicity, and the other problem has to do with a person that is not even in the room. It's something that happened to them. Mm-hmm. And then we have to heal that. But we can still heal it. So what we do as the technical side, but it's all explained on this workshop. It's super interesting.
Okay.
But it's like we use the miasm. So we have the miasms, which is, to use a modern word, to say, what genetics were you born with? What predispositions were you born with? Because you come from this lineage. So we use the lineage remedies. So in particular, a remedy made from syphilis, because syphilis and the syphilitic miasm has to do with secrets, and it's always the secrets that gives us problems. Okay. It's not all the stuff that's out in the open. Nobody cares. Nobody get harmed by that, right? It's the secret. So we can use that miasm to tap into, if we stop looking ourselves as a person that ends here and begins here or whatever, but start to see that we are part of a bigger body that is our lineage.
Yes.
So then we use that remedy, syphilinum, to tap into that lineage. And then we give what's needed.
So I just think, I can't help but think of the native population, for example. Native populations worldwide. I mean, just look at that generational trauma. That of course they're having problems. I mean, there's no effort into going to heal. And I'm pretty sure the powers that be that don't really give a shit about them, they know exactly that how you could heal that, because they know these things.
Well, they have done it systemically. They have destroyed them inside the system. They used spreadsheets,
Right. So, I mean, what an amazing thing that would be, even like if you could do a pilot project, on healing, known populations with transgenerational traumas that just keeps them down. I mean, of course, there's some that come up, but on a whole, there's so much healing still to be done.
Oh, yeah. But we also have other remedies then from the new Materia Medica, where we have one remedy that I also talk about in this talk, that because it's so amazing. It's called Japanese white oleander. So it's the first flower that grew after Hiroshima.
Oh.
Yeah. So, there is always something that will grow again after a disaster. And this is part of the new Materia Medica, that we look at transgeneration. So Kent and Hahnemann and all the old school boys in homeopathy, they didn't think about it. They thought about, okay, so your dad beat you. But they didn't, well, they did make the connection to the generations behind with the miasms and the physical symptoms and also the mental emotional stuff. So actually they did it. But with the new Materia Medica, that is being expanded on. And in homeopathy, through new Materia Medica, we get a language that we can use in consultation that can make reference back to remedies.
Right.
If that makes sense.
And what about also all the current chronic stuff, the cancer, the heart disease, the diabetes? Is there a place for homeopathy? And I don't really hear about homeopathy in cancer, for example, homeopathy in tumors. I don't really hear that.
Well, and it's such a shame, because there is one of the protocols that I work with is called the Benedictine Protocol, which is Benedictine.
Benedictine.
Yes. So it's a clinic in India. I think they are fourth or fifth generation.
Okay.
homeopaths now on that clinic, and they see 1,000 patients a day.
A day.
In that clinic. Yeah.
Wow.
But because they see so many, the only patients that they keep the data on are the cancer patients.
Okay. Oh, wow.
So they published a book where they say, okay, for this cancer, we use this protocol. Because when you see 1,000 patients every day, you only have a couple of minutes for each patient, right? So that's why they're so keen on the protocols. But then the protocols, the Benedictine protocols for cancer, and probably also the other ones, but specifically and very definitely with the cancer ones are based on data.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so they're having success.
Yeah,
with homeopathy for cancer.
so cancer is a blockage. It's a blockage.
Right. Right. Okay. Interesting. And so what about other common like heart disease? What about diabetes? What about, I mean, obviously these are major lifestyle things.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And stress and all sorts of stuff. But does it have a role in all of these chronic issues? Because again, back in the day when Hahnemann was coming up with it, that people weren't, the cancer rate wasn't 1 and 2. The heart attacks weren't an issue. Strokes weren't, these things weren't issues back then.
No, but you see, in homeopathy, we don't get hung up what the disease is called.
Right.
We don't care. You know, it's like what I say when I want to tease allopathic medicine a little bit. I say they're very, very good at telling you what the name is of what you're going through.
Seriously. Yeah. And everybody wants that. Everybody wants the diagnosis too.
Give me the name. Give me the name.
Right.
But what we do in homeopathy is that we look at how the body is reacting.
Right.
So it doesn't matter what the disease is. Because we start with the patient, we don't start with the disease.
I love that. Yes, start with the patient, not with the disease. And you see the patient, right? Yes.
Because the symptoms, they are a reflection of how the immune system is working. But I just want to say that when we have like the big thing, you know, like with cancer, heart disease, and you know, depression. Okay, so that's maybe one thing, you know, yeah, with depression and ADHD and all of those things are also stuff that we deal with in a homeopathic practice. But you know, the more serious the disease is, the more I would say, okay, with cancer and infertility, for instance, I expect people to do more than homeopathy.
Yes.
They need to look at their diet. They need to look at their mental health. They need to look at their sleep. They need to look at, you know, like all aspects.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it can definitely be a tool.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Like recently, I just had this patient, and we gotten her off all her hormones.
Oh, that's a big one. Hormone replacement type things.
And it went really quick. I think from we started talking about to make a transition until she just called me and said, I stopped taking them all now. I think maybe it was less than 6 weeks.
That's amazing.
And she feels great.
One, you know, because there's so women that are so stuck with that. And there's so many factors involved with that. I was just talking to a woman about that just the other day, but the willingness wasn't there. Maybe if the homeopathy can help with a little early success, it can inspire you to go further and do some more.
So when you start with homeopathy in that situation, it doesn't mean that you stop what you're taking. We make a lab over so that you can feel, okay, do you sense any difference with the homeopathy and what you sense? And it's okay. So now we know we have this effect. So if we start cutting down on this, then, you know, you can take this, you know, you get to know it.
Do you have them work with their doctor as well on getting them off, or do you just do it together with them? Because a lot of doctors will be like, homeopathy, whatever. Let's, you know, I can see that you haven't had much luck with that. Just from the look on your face, I mean, it says it all.
It's like anyone that wants to stop any medication, I always tell everybody, go back to the person who prescribed it to you and tell them you want to get off it.
Right.
That's the proper way of doing it. And that's also what I would like my patients to do with me. So, if they want to get off something, it's like, come back and let, I've started this, so I will also, we're partners. Okay. So there was this one woman, and I told her to go back to her doctor and ask her doctor what to say. And the doctor just said, well, just stop taking them. That was that. That was the advice.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Great. Thank you, Doctor.
Well,
Yeah.
really cares. Yeah, I know. Okay, so what else do we need to know? What else? And then then you can tell us quickly about your new adventure coming up. So
Yes.
what else
Yes.
do we need to know about homeopathy? What are we missing here?
We that with homeopathy you can take the knowledge of healing home, so that it's not an externalized experience, so that you have to go to a third party every time somebody has something in your family. Now you can become that person, and you can become that person gently in the beginning, because everybody can learn to prescribe arnica. And if you don't know how to prescribe arnica, I will tell you what you need to know. Did it give a bruise? Yes. Okay. Prescribe arnica. Mm-hmm. So even if you are on the way to the emergency room for a bad fall, you can take arnica on the way there. Mm-hmm. Before any other kind of treatment can start. So when we start using homeopathy, we start gentle, we add it to our regime. We're not taking anything away that we have already. I don't know, is my phone disturbing?
It's not that bad. It's okay.
Okay, all right. No, but with the with homeopathy, you can just add it. You just have it as an extra tool in your toolbox.
Right.
Yeah. And every time you learn about one remedy, then you never forget it. So you won't know everything from the first day that you start using homeopathy, but you will slowly learn it. And you can do things like download the app, because the app is educational. It gives you prescriptions, but it's also educational. I really encourage anyone to go and join one of my online clubs. There's a Detox club, there's something about new materia medica, and there's the home prescribers club, where you get so much knowledge on how to use homeopathy. Just you don't have to know what's in the box to get it, and then just start carrying it around. And then one day somebody complains about something, and you open up the little booklet and you look it up and you go, I'm going to give you this. And then you're going to see a result.
Right.
And that's how, basically, there was one of my teachers at homeopathy school that said, the best way of getting really good at homeopathy is by having a big family.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Going on with somebody. So there's a very specific dosing on the pellets. I remember talking about this before, you said just one, maybe two, if it wasn't on that. So do we ignore what it actually says on the pellet? Because it says like 3 or 4 or 5 or something like that. It tells a dose. Like, we don't need to take that many, right? We just take a couple.
We don't need to take it, but when they say specifically take 4 or 5, it's because the advice is given from a protocol. So when we have a protocol, so then they have said, okay, we gave all the patients 3 doses of 4 pellets a day for 7 days.
Okay.
So that's the protocol. And then if you want to use that, if you want to use your experience to tell people how to take it, then you have to give them how it was prescribed in the protocol. You know what I mean? Then you can't deviate from the protocol. So in the Benedictine Protocol, they say, for instance, when you give this remedy, it has to be on this size pill. So maybe you just have to give the remedy on that size pill, because somebody made a mistake when they ordered the pills and they got them in the wrong size, but they didn't want to order new ones. So they just decided, we're just going to use this size pill. And then we're going to say in the notes that we use this size pill.
Right. Okay.
And then when people then go out and prescribe based on the data collected for this protocol, well, then it says we gave it on this size pill. No, you don't have to, but you have to say it like that if you want to be taken seriously with your protocol. So then you have to.
Okay.
But I would say no, you don't have to. So
right, because I think it's one of the tenets of homeopathy is it's also like minimal dose, right? Like,
yes, yeah.
So you don't. It's not like you just mega dose. It's not like you're taking 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C every hour or until your bowels blow up, kind of thing. It's a very different premise for homeopathy. Yeah.
But if you give 4, if you give 1 pellet, if there's something, if the pellet is by some freak accident is a blank,
yes,
then it's 1 out of 1.
Right.
If you take 2, then you can have 1 blank, and and if you take 4, so when you want to do a protocol, then you are more likely to increase how many pills.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, and so now you're embarking on a new adventure. You're changing where you're living. So tell us, you're setting up shop somewhere else, your clinic, and how are people going to be able to find you? And what's your, so where's your YouTube channel? You have a YouTube channel, right?
Yes, I do. It's called I think it's called Wabi Sabi CP. No, I have to go and look what it's even called. I'll just send you the link, then you can put
no
it. Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of like woke up my YouTube channel because I have so much exciting stuff to share about my tiny house. And it's like this whole tiny house community, and you can go on YouTube and you can just geek out on tiny house tours, and everybody's showing their little genius ideas that they have, and so on. And of course, I used to work in interior design before I became a homeopath, right? So I'm completely geeking out on it, and I'm just having so much fun with this tiny house. And actually, it was yesterday that it was a year ago that I realized I could have a tiny house and I could have it out on that land. And then I just decided in that moment, I'm not going to say I would like to have a tiny house. I'm just going to, from now on, I'm going to say, I'm going to have a tiny house at Carolot. So I just started saying that. And Carolot is this place where I'm putting down the tiny house. So that's like this beautiful piece of land just outside Edmonton in Devon. And there is a big, beautiful house on the land as well, where Carla and Keith lives, and they are the protectors of the land. And that whole house is going to be a health clinic in the future. So it's like the beginnings. Well, Carla took the beginning steps when she built the house, but now with the company, now we're going to start taking it more seriously and do all the moves to get a big, good, solid health clinic, help people recover from whatever they have been going through. So and I had first pick on the clinic room, so I'm going to have big, beautiful clinic room inside, and then
I saw that. You guys, if you watch her video, you can see where she's gonna. It's raw land right now where you're putting your tiny home, but the clinic's gonna be so sunny and great, and just Okay, so that's gonna be a whole new way of living.
Oh, I can't wait to be so close to nature again. Just open the door, and there's a horse.
When's the big move?
Well, the big pay is on in 2 days when I'm gonna pay for the house, and then he normally says that it takes 1 month to build the house. From he starts building it until it gets delivered. But I'm curious to find out if he started a little bit early, because I think he has not have any doubts about my commitment.
So are you moving as soon as it's ready?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Just in time for spring.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. So right now you're in Edmonton, but so you're not going to be that far away then.
Yeah. And I see patients everywhere. Also, still many patients in Denmark and where I'm from, and in the US, and I see patients in different places, and that's all Zoom anyway. So
okay, right, okay.
And
so,
I ship remedies everywhere.
okay.
Or if it's in Denmark, I have a contact in Denmark that ships remedies, and so
Perfect.
it's a big international network. No.
Yeah, well, and you got to get your patients everywhere. And I don't know, you just got to keep this alive wherever we can with the homeopathy, right? Like it's definitely under attack in certain places, but it's definitely more accepted as you know, a more standard of care, I would say, in certain parts of the world than it is maybe in Canada.
In India, it's huge. It's really big. So there is actually, by law, all pharmacies in India have to stock homeopathy. And they use it in the army as well. So it's massive in India. So I'm always so happy when I meet someone from India, because then they're like, oh, yes, doctor, yes. Because you know, normally when you meet anybody and you say you're a homeopath, you never know if they're going to spit in your face. But if you meet somebody from India, it's always, you get like a different recognition.
Right. In Cuba, it's big in Cuba, isn't it?
It is big in Cuba, and also in preventative care, so meaning homeoprophylaxis instead of vaccine. So they use homeoprophylaxis in Cuba for disease prevention when there's no vaccine. So they used homeoprophylaxis, so homeopathic remedies, as prevention for COVID before the vaccine came. So
before, but now they've got the vaccine there.
Yeah, now they have to use the vaccine. And actually, you can go in and you can look at how many deaths there is in Cuba from COVID, and then you can see exactly what date they started the vaccines.
Isn't that interesting? So there's another use for homeopathy, right?
There's another use for homeopathy.
Side effects, right? Lots of people. Are you working with a lot of people with that, or many people with side effects with?
From vaccines?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's a big part of the homeopathic practice, because we can detox it, because we can make the homeopathic remedies from the vaccines.
Right.
So, you know, we say, okay, homeopathy is like cures like, but we can't find anything out in nature that looks like a vaccine. It doesn't exist. It's like, go out and find a square box in nature. It doesn't exist. It's a man-made thing. And the vaccines are man-made. They're not natural. So we can't use anything like. So we use same.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So the whole the homeopathic detox club that is also on my website, I only talk about detoxing in there, because you can detox vaccines, you can detox contraceptives, Epstein-Barr, Candida, Lyme disease, steroids, chemotherapy.
Spring detox. Right? It's time for that right now. In the season, this is liver time. It's like, because I know there were kits like Heal had their detox kit once upon a time, and there's Paxlo, I think, has a detox kit. But I guess it's probably working on the organs of detoxification that are going to just help upregulate detox pathways, I'm thinking.
Yeah, so like liver detox and kidney detox, it's very good. But my favorite detox, it's the coffee enema. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that too.
Yeah, that's if you just do that on a regular basis, you're not going to get sick, full stop. And you're not going to have allergies, and you're not going, you know.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people have to get sick before they'll start that though. I recommend it all the time, and I recommend it especially now as we go into spring and liver season. You know, you're upregulating glutathione production, you're really cleaning out that liver, decongesting the liver, cleaning up the blood. And some people are willing and a lot of people aren't. They just, you know, so it's just what people are willing to. I'm just like, just do it once and you'll wonder why you just didn't do it before. Just try it. It's not that hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's just, it feels, I like it.
Oh yeah, but I also, you know, it's like when you come and see me in consultation, if not already in the first, then in the second, I will introduce it, and I will just introduce it very, very quick, very soon, because I know nobody bites on the first introduction.
Exactly. So yeah. Have time to work on them.
It's a gentle massage, and then, you know, then one day, you just hear like, what did I talk? Well, you know, like even if you have like headaches around your menstrual period, you just do a coffee enema and it's gone, because what you are having the headache from is from the filtration of hormones. Because, you know, every time one hormone, there's more presence of one hormone, then there's other hormones that has to be flushed out, and everything is going through the liver.
Right. Yes.
So you just help the liver a little bit with the coffee enema, and you don't have to have the headache.
Yeah, it's a great tool, absolutely. And these are the things these are the things that people would just know and have that on hand. And just have these are things I have available all the time. Homeopathy, charcoal, coffee enemas, like all sorts of different immune, like it's just there, like food grade hydrogen peroxide, colloidal silver, you know, you just set it up.
Bentonite clay.
Bentonite clay, absolutely. Yeah.
So bentonite clay is part of my emergency vaccination adverse events kit. So I, unfortunately, when you say some people need to have something happen to them before they reach out, and there's an epidemic of that, pandemic of that, with people that have a first-hand experience with vaccines, and they go, oh my God, I cannot believe what's going on, blah, blah, blah. But the first thing I ask people to do when they that's in this kit, there's a little jar of bentonite clay, and you just mix it up and you put it right on top of where the needle went in. And then the bentonite clay will just start sucking out the poison that it can do. Of course, it's better if you can put the bentonite clay on like
right
2 seconds after. Yeah. But we can also use the bentonite clay for insect bites. And other things like that. So, and bentonite clay, we can also take it internally. Or as an enema, and it's packed with minerals.
Right. And bathing, my friend who was reacting, she does cranial psychotherapy, and she was, before we even knew there was people you could react from somebody actually having it, she's working with people who had it like the day before, and her cycle went all wonky, and she was having headaches, all sorts of symptoms. And the baths were bathing with bentonite clay and Epsom salts and baking soda and putting that in there. And she really feels that was one of the big things that helped turn it all around. Once we realized, oh, this isn't menopause, perimenopause, this is poisoning.
And also when you go in the bath, you're also earthing again, because the pipes go in the ground. Right.
Yeah, with the water. Yeah, well, cool. We've been going for quite some time. It feels like I've just been having a great conversation with you.
Yes. But I expect you to come and spend the night in the tiny house with me.
Oh, that would be so fun. I gotta come check it out. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about how every way that people can get a hold of you. So the app is Homeopathy.
So homeopathy and then LY in the end.
Yes. So that's it, the normal way to get an app.
Yes. Right? And my website is homeopathy.com.
Yeah.
And that's basically, and what you need to know. So also there's Instagram. It's also homeopathy. So the word is difficult, but I'm consistent.
I just keep saying homeopathically. I can actually.
Yeah.
I had a problem in the beginning. I did, but I get it now because it's a lot. And then you're going to give me your YouTube channel so people can watch your pictures in real, well, almost live.
Yes. So there's gonna be so much more about that. It's gonna be, oh, I just cannot wait. It's like I got this. So here, of course, in my normal kitchen, it's completely with Vitamix and big juicer, like all of those things. But those things you can't have in a tiny house. But now I have this hands
blender.
Yeah, exactly. That just works incredibly well. So I have that in the clinic now, so I can make myself a smoothie there. It's almost as noisy as a Vitamix, I have to say. But
I would miss my Vitamix. I have to say, I use that thing every day, like for right now for hot drinks, but if we get into smoothie season, like good.
Yeah.
But you also have access to the house in your clinic.
Exactly.
The best of everything.
Yeah. No, and then the wood burning stove that I ordered, it has an oven, a baking, so I can bake in there as well. So I'm gonna do. So it's just gonna be, yeah. I think I'm gonna be a lot on YouTube now because this. Yeah.
That's gonna be fun. That's interesting. Yeah. Well, good for you for taking the plunge and being the. So, are they building out a community there?
Yes.
They are. That is the goal. They're building out a community.
Yes.
And is it going to be sustainable in terms of food production and things like that?
That's the plan. Yeah.
Right.
We have plenty of land. We have good land. So we need hands.
Right. Well, that's the only way a community is going to work.
Yeah.
Right? We need to cooperate. We need to self-organize these days. It's time to break off from this psychotic society and not try to fit into it, but create a healthy society with people that are willing to do the work to do it. Right?
Yeah.
There are lots of private, like let's look at the Mennonites and whoever there are, and even, communities and things like that. People can do it and they live in their own little society. So I mean, we need to do that too. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, Mette. Well, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing all your fun and wisdom with us today. You guys get in contact with it. If you have not tried homeopathy, like there's nothing to lose. And you just start collecting these remedies. Now I started getting the kit so that you don't have like all these random remedies. But I've gotten my storehouse from what I've needed over the years. But now I've got the blue kit. And definitely need to get the first aid kit as well too, which you did talk about. I'm assuming in your kit there's also the first aid.
There's for instance the one thing that is really great about the first aid kit is that you get basically higher potencies of a lot of remedies. So the first aid kit, it has 18 remedies, so half of what's in the 36 kit.
Yeah.
But 17 of those remedies are remedies that are in the blue kit, just the potency higher.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
And then there's Bellis perennis in there, which is like the extra one, which is like an deeper arnica. So arnica, it's like we can see the bruising and so on, but Bellis perennis is like an arnica, but more when, like after operations or when things are being pushed from the inside on the organ pain and stuff like that as well.
And are those kits also available through the app? Can you purchase those?
They are available through my little secret special store that you can have access to through the app or through the memberships. Yes.
Good to know. And we need these things with us at all times. Like everybody has their phone. Why not make it something that's useful? It could save your life sometime. You never know.
Exactly. So. And I also have little enema kits ready. So everything you need to do to start making coffee enemas, and there's lots of little, all the best and things that I have. And I'm also going to start selling the earthing stuff in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And yeah, we do know that we are surrounded. I mean, I've got lots of stuff pushing on me right now with the electrical stuff and the EMF. So that's something we need to do. But now once you're in your tiny home, look how you're just going to be outside. You're going to be living in it. Right. So that's amazing. So
exactly.
Okay, Mette, thanks so much. I really
thank you so much.
Guys, you guys check out homeopathy. Seriously, learn about it. My husband literally had a healing miracle, and that might be just around the corner for you too. So check it out, and we'll see you next time.